So wait for all recording devices. All right, good morning, everybody. Appreciate you being here. Just as we've already jumped into practice, for the week, just kind of going back on Saturday night. Definitely was grateful for our crowd, the atmosphere there. Saturday was remarkable. No, hold on a second. This is good. No, wait. Go right ahead.
No, right in front of our shop. Please, thank you. Good one. Great. Go ahead, Mike.
It's wonderful.
Take two.
I'm like, we're gonna keep rolling. All right, 7 o'clock. Do you want to restart? No, and that was good.
We'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, once again, I appreciate our crowd. I appreciate our media contingent for just the great job that is being done here this morning of being winners. It's no, it was good, man. Saturday night was kind of a game that went the way we needed it to go. In some ways, we didn't play our best game, but it was a game where we had to respond to multiple different situations. We had some good plays on both sides of the ball. Defensively, essentially creating 4 takeaways with 2 4th down stops, with the 2 turnovers that we were able to get. Offensively, had 100% ball security for the game. You saw we were able to establish the run, but weren't as good in the passing game as what we'd like to be. You had some missed opportunities. Defensively, you were able to create a interception. You did some good things in the passing game. Had one kind of blown coverage, but running game, we didn't defend a run as well as what we're accustomed to. And as a team that attacked in a variety of ways, but as we got in the second half, our guys really settled in and got the job done. And I was proud of that and how they were able to finish the game. It was good to be able to get multiple guys in there in our last game at Doak Campbell for this season. But as you transition, short week, going to NC State Friday night, we came back. Coaches were in early yesterday, starting game planning. Kind of wrapping up all corrections of what we needed from the game, and then we just started our preparation. We had a team meeting last night. Did not practice. Gave the guys off other than just treatments and coming in and getting some work there. And then this morning, obviously just got our what would be our Tuesday practice. Some modifications when it comes to it. A little later in the season. Make sure we're doing what we need for our guys, their bodies. But I thought it was good speed today, and I like what I saw.
Chris.
Mike obviously got banged up, came back. Richie got banged up, didn't come back. Line wise, how did the guys that fill in do for you, and also what's the expectation?
They did good. Rizzy's been a guy that has played throughout this year. Has started some games, but I thought he filled it well. And then when Otto got thrown into action, he showed he was ready. And I was pleased with what I saw there. He's a guy that I've got big expectations for what he can be as we continue to move forward. And he's staying focused on his path, his journey. And really I think improving well as the season has gone about. And it just just one of those examples that you got to be ready for your number called. And we had a couple guys that went down just relatively close together in the game, and it was good to be able to get a few of those guys back. But we'll see exactly where Richie is throughout this week. I mean, it's I think he's gonna have to push, and it's he will do everything in his power to be ready to play. But when you have a short week, obviously losing that day, it makes it tough. But I do believe that regardless, Rizzy's a guy that will be ready to go, and then obviously they're just the versatility of what we have up front. Expect them to come play at a high level.
Brendan. I didn't raise my hand, but I have a question. With some of the issues on the road this season, I guess, have you done some reflection on, is it preparation? Is there, I guess, what are some things you guys can work on to be cleaner there?
Well, you look at all factors. I mean, any game, home, road, but when you see, obviously we've not played our best on the road, and I thought, Virginia, we played well offensively, did have the turnovers that hurt us, and we played awful, and really Stanford and in Clemson, just with some missed opportunities, there on that side of the ball. And so, you go and see, what are the connecting things, or is it things that, that at the end of the day we can control, is things that, that we faced in the moment, defensively, like I said, you look in the Virginia game, is probably, one of our worst performances, and, Stanford had good moments, but we didn't start the way we wanted to start, and that's where, we've got to be better. Clemson, they're cutting the same thing, where it's just, we've got to take control of the game early. We've got to be able to work to play, from ahead if possible, and that's something that you look in, just all things of how you sequence, because what it's been, in the past, it still comes down to this team. It still comes down to, whether it's years we've been really, really good on the road, but it's, years that we've not been, and obviously this year we've not been good enough. And so we are looking at every component to, what are the things that we need to fix to make sure that we're starting the game the way we want to start. That what are the things that we're doing to make sure that we not distracted by any of the things that can be distracting when you go on the road. And so there are some modifications that we've kind of implementing throughout this week, and just continuing to push, so that come Friday night, on a short week, our best is going to show up.
Ira?
When it comes to that, were there things during those games that you noticed, or during those trips, that made you feel uneasy at all, or did it look like you were just at home?
It's there's always different dynamics you have to work through. A couple of trips that we had. You're sitting an hour and 15 minutes on a bus, getting to a place. Is it, do you look at how are you handling that travel? What is it? What's it look like? The amount of time that you try to keep it as close to possible as what you're doing here at home. And but there's some natural just things that are going to be different. And it's that there's not just been one consistent thing that made me feel, oh well, this is where we got to change this immediately. But it still comes down to the results, and so that's why you go back, you look at it. Where are the modifications? What are the things that you can tweak that is going to help best prepare this team, that our best game shows up. Don't expect the perfect game. I've never seen one, but there is an expectation for best, and we've shown really good moments and on both sides of the ball, being able, the ability to play and execute and do things that are necessary. But collectively, we've not played complementary football on the road, and when we do that, I think we're a really good football team. And on the road, you got to have, it's our energy, it's our focus, it's everything that we can do to dictate the game. That's coming from the sideline, and that's going to be a big focus for this week. Is that, this is a hostile place to play. Non-Saturday game. All the stuff. 8 o'clock kickoff, later kickoff. All of it, right? But we run out of that tunnel, right? And we give 60 minutes on the clock. The guys on that sideline, coaches, staff, players. We are all responsible for what the outcome is going to be. So we need to go and make sure that every bit of our energy, our discipline, our execution, that it shows up.
Brendan? This time I'm ready. With Tommy, it seemed like some of his rushing production was sharper this past game, more explosive. Is he starting to feel a little bit better?
Yeah, I think with each week that goes by, he's definitely feeling good. His body. It's part of the toll you take through a season. Times that you have small bumps, bruises, and things that can kind of hinder just where you say your body's feeling best. But he's definitely I thought he ran strong. You had some games, some of the game-changing plays there in the second half with his feet that were huge. And I was really pleased to see him kind of take control and play fast when it came to that.
Bob?
I wanted to ask you about the secondary in general, but also just seeing the depth chart with Jabril not listed. What's his status? How did Shamar perform on Saturday?
Jabril's gonna actually be out for the rest of the year, and unfortunately, that's he's had a really good season up to this point, and a guy that I'm excited about what's ahead, but you just unfortunately will be out. But with that, I thought Shamar, going in and getting another start, for him was something that his preparation, his work. The competitiveness that he has. I thought that showed up well. Still some things that he's going to get to grow through with every rep. And when you're out there, especially at that position as a true freshman, it's a lot on him. And but I do think that he's got the right mindset. I do think he's very capable, but he's going to grow up right there in front of our eyes. And this week is a really good challenge for us. This is an offense that throughout the season has been one of the best in the league. Obviously they're coming off a game that was very uncharacteristic of how they played, but we know that they're extremely capable. And as you see, our secondary. We know this is a group that has talent and ability, that they're growing, with each game, and just the confidence of what they're doing, whether it's man, zone. I do think some real positive things are showing up, but I'm excited to watch Shamar continue to take advantage of the opportunity that he has.
Liam?
You talked about Oos a couple times last week and his production, maybe getting a little bit more of a workload here at the end. I think he got the most carries for you guys on Saturday. Just what did you see from him, and where can he still go with 2 games left?
Yeah, there's so much area for improvement from him, but you see the talent, the strength. Just he's a tough guy to tackle. Continuing to be confident in the open field of being able to make that last guy miss. He's had a few that are just right there at it. He's done a great job of forcing missed tackles. He's growing in his protection. He's one of the most physical players we have on this team. He's come in with the absolute right mindset when it comes to that. But now it's being able to apply that with with his eyes and technique and fundamentals. I'm pleased with what I'm seeing from him. I think he's going to be a guy that's going to continue to grow with every carry he gets. But I was pleased with the production that he had last week.
Ira?
NC State, obviously they've had some ups and downs too, but offensively, they've put up a lot of points. They've had some big games. What challenges do they present?
They're really such a balanced attack. They've run the ball at a very high level. They've got a couple of really explosive backs. The quarterback, you got a lot of respect for him. I think he can locate the ball all across the field. Push it vertical. If things break down, his escapability and being able to extend plays, is definitely something that we have to be aware of and try to contain. You've got some guys at tight end and receiver that you got to go cover. They're talented. They're big. The guys that can play. The guys that move for them in the slot. They can create separation. So, like I said, this is a team that they put points on good people, and they've definitely showed the ability to be one of the best offenses in this league. And it's going to present a great challenge for us, and just being able to defend all the things that they do, because like I said, they can do it both in the air and on the ground.
Corey?
There was a play in the Clemson game where it didn't seem like Jerry maybe was as physical as you would have liked, and you told him about it. Did you see that made something flip, because he made that great play really early in that game?
No, I was pleased. That was Jerry had a couple plays there in that Clemson game that were not to his to the expectation and his standard. And sometimes you can get yourself where you if hesitation shows up because you don't want to miss a tackle, or you don't want to put yourself in the wrong position, and if that hesitation shows up, there's bad. It's going to look really bad. And in that game, we got him out in that moment, and I did try to bring that focus back to the importance of just cutting it loose and going to play. And this last week in practice, that was my entire message to him. And Jerry is he's a great competitor. He's somebody that loves this team, loves being a part of what we're doing. And I was really pleased with him to see him, because it's easy to sit there and point to the interception on the first drive, but seeing some of the physicality plays where he just just went and made it, and he was right where he needed to be, threw his body around, and that was that was more like a guy I know. And, you know, we're all capable. I mean, we're capable on both ends, you know, but, you know, he definitely responded the way that I wanted to see. And, you know, I just told, you know, with him this morning, I'm like, now it's take another step here this week because we need him to play big.
Brendan, on Mandrell's sack, the forced fumble, does he have like the ability to go to either gap when he's locked up with this? And is that just him making a heads up play?
No, I mean, you know, there's different, you know, different calls defensively that will provide some flexibility where guys can, you know, two gap and be able to work, you know, either direction, playing off of that with different different pass rush, you know, moves, or, you know, just to have some of that flexibility. And, you know, Mandrell's a guy that you know, is extremely explosive. You know, obviously, you know, very strong in what he does. But you know, you're seeing him grow up, you know, week by week. I think he's got, what is it, 4 straight games with a sack or something like that. And you know, he's playing with great, you know, he's playing with great effort, great physicality in that. But you know, he's just, you know, the efficiency of his movements, you know, and just his confidence in what he can do is really, you know, ascending, you know, throughout this year. And so, you know, I think he's probably playing as good as any freshman D lineman in the country. You know, for what I see, and probably as good as, you know, any freshman that, you know, might be out there. I mean, he's done a really, really good job. And so, but I'm excited for his continued growth. And yeah, I mean, he's going to just continue to get better.
Corey.
Jalen had 2 kick returns in that game. That has not been a part of this the team much this year. Was that a concerted effort? Like, go return this? Did
Well, I
have
mean,
a
yeah,
plan
you
going?
try to go into each game, and you know, you got to play. You want to play smart. You want to put your team, your guys in the best position. And you know, we really just haven't had many opportunities. You know, when it comes to the return game, but you know, we got kicks that were in that range of where we wanted to be aggressive in the return. And you know, I thought our guys did a really nice job being able to give them a seam, and you know, we were extremely close to be able to take, you know, both of them back. But you know, those are two spark plays. And you know, as I know I mentioned it after the game, but you know, when you see, you know, each phase, you know, rising to the challenge of what's needed, you know, I thought Jalen and that KOR team did a great job of being able to provide a spark there in that second half, and it's huge.
Ira.
This team's been through a lot over the course of the season. Playing, I thought maybe the best game in a long time, Saturday, and then these last 2 of the last 3. Like, do you see anything in terms of just confidence, the way they've come through this, and does that make you feel?
Yeah, I mean, you know, like I said, you know, yes, we have been through a lot. A good, nice observation. It's been, yeah, and it's hard. You know, it's when you have when you see capability and then you have disappointing, you know, performances and disappointing results. You know, it really it tests you, and it tests you know who you are. I mean, I think, you know, I might have said this at post game, but one of the things I told the guys in pregame, you know, the other day is that, you know, adversity introduces a man to himself, and introduces a team to themselves, and you know what they are, what they're about, and it's about, you know, just that consistent and you know, focused effort for growth, for response, for, you know, just being able to get yourself up when things haven't gone the way you want them to go, and push forward with all that you are. And you know, I believe in this team. I love coaching this team. I think it's a group of incredible young men that you have the right desire. You know, guys that, you know, are sacrificing, you know, sometimes with how they feel, you know, just to go and pour in and give all. And that's, you know, I respect that. And you know, you see it showing up in the course of games. I mean, there's been guys that have battled, you know, playing, you know, probably not 100%, but you know, everything that they could do for this team. You know, I mean, I respect. And you see it in the way that they practice. I know I mentioned that there last week. I've got confidence in what's going to show up. I've got confidence in the work that I'm seeing. We got to go get it done, and that's still when it comes down to it. It's you do all those things to be able to step on the field and in the moment of truth, and you go put it on display. And you know, I believe in this team, and I believe in what they'll do, and you know, definitely believe in how they'll finish.
Anything else? All right, thank you, Coach.